What is your music? If we were to have theme music, what would it be?
Well, you know what? I'm not really stuck to any genre. I love music in all forms. So I'm all about the message more than anything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm kind of the same way. Maybe that's why we get along so well.
Maybe so. Can't put me in a box.
Nope. Hi there, folks. Welcome to our live stream. My name is Jim, and this is the Dr. Tiffany and Jim live stream, weekly Wednesday live stream. Welcome. What a week, Dr. Tiff. This has been a fun week. I feel like I've been through a whirlwind. It's been kind of just, I feel like we just ended the last live like 8 minutes ago, and we're back. It's been a whirlwind of a week.
Yes.
Welcome to the live, folks. This is going to be a fun hour. We've got some amazing guests. We're going to be talking about metabolic health. And if you are sick, if you are type 2 diabetic, if you have obesity problem or any weight problem or high blood pressure, anything like that, this will be a good live stream to listen into. If you've been invited to this live stream, it means that whoever invited you thinks that this live stream could benefit you. So stick around. We're pretty quick. Dr. Tiffany is very entertaining, and I'm here. So you got to deal with me. But stick around for the hour, and hopefully you learn something. This could be the hour that kind of changes the trajectory of your health in your life. So again, my name is Jim. I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I was a 12.2% A1C and a 459 LDL. I now have normal cholesterol levels, normal blood pressure levels, and 4.8% A1C. I've been completely unmedicated for about 2.5 years. Actually, well, I can say that now. February of 24, February 23 would have been when I started. So 2.5 years. Wow.
2 years
and 6 months. That's crazy. I just did the math. Live on air. 2.5 years. I've been without medications, and my glucose levels look absolutely beautiful. I do wear a continuous glucose monitor. And I'll just share with the audience right now. That is my glucose. I just put a new sensor on. That's what that gap is. But 107, and that's a pretty flat and boring line too. So that is with no medications for the last 2.5 years. So if that's something that appeals to you, if you are sick, if you are tired, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, stick around for this live stream. We got an amazing Dr. Tiffany. Doc, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes. You know what? I love how he gets on here and acts like he doesn't bring all the comedy. He be always bringing all the jokes. Yeah. So anyway, I'm Dr. Tiffany Marie, and I am a double board certified physician in family and lifestyle medicine, as well as a metabolic health coach. For 20 years, I was doing urgent care, private practice. In the last 3 years, I've been doing virtual primary medicine across 48 states. So I got to see just how sick we really are, and also that we need something. We need an answer besides just prescription medications. And after you keep seeing people with a whole bunch of meds not looking good, the answer becomes, how can we look and feel good? And so I ended up going through lifestyle medicine and talking about this on social media, and I got connected to a friend of ours, and she showed me about these natural products we're going to talk about. And much like some of you, I thought she was telling me hogwash. I did. And I had to go look it up. Do the research. And once I started seeing the science was making sense, it made sense to me. I started taking it. I was able to stop having hot flashes. Love that. Actually get off of my blood pressure medicine. I haven't had a migraine since I've been on the products, thank goodness. But I've been able to help people like my brother, take him directly out the ICU with these products, get them off of insulin, Trulicity, metformin, and so many other people. And it becomes, why not do this every week? So here we are again, trying to share with y'all what we know is helping so many people. And I'm so excited to be here.
You know what? And Dr. Tiff, I want to kind of add to this a little bit. And I'm touching on your heart and where you are personally. So I met Dr. Tiff, I feel like it was around August of 23, maybe? About 2 years ago? Is that about 2 years ago?
Maybe.
Somewhere around there. Maybe it was
around Thanksgiving. But anyway.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. And I remember at the time you had just done a video on TikTok that went crazy viral because you were saying just that. You were tired of prescribing medications. And, you know, when you see people on a video or something like that, they begin to become not real. And when I met you in person, I remember having a conversation with you about that video right there. and being really, really impressed with your responses to my questions, and the fact that you would let me ask you questions that maybe I wouldn't have asked a doctor that I knew otherwise. I don't know what was in me, but I was asking you some questions. And I remember one time in particular, I said, I think there's a lack of trust in the healthcare community, in the doctors. And your response was, and I'm going to paraphrase, it's been 2 years ago, but it was something like, I think we kind of deserve that, or something like that. But we're not all bad. We're all working hard. There's a lot of us that are working hard to try and change that path. And ever since that moment, that statement, I've just been I've gravitated towards you. And I think everybody else kind of does too, because we can see that you're trying to just do the right thing. You're trying to just help people, and you are. So I don't even know where I was going with that. Kind of rambling, but we love you.
It was. I'll take it though. I'll take it.
Dr. Tiff. I need to rehearse that next time.
That's all right. I appreciate it.
So this is going to be a fun live stream. We do have a real live actual doctor. She gives her time to us every single week. She also, you kind of glazed over that bit with Bickman, and I want you to just elaborate on that a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about your deal with Insulin IQ.
Well, yes, I actually took the time to study to become a certified metabolic health coach under Dr. Ben Bickman and Insulin IQ. Which is a great resource for members and for anyone who wants to learn more to be able to help anyone dealing with insulin resistance more. It is a great resource. In fact, I think they have a promo to where it's 10 days free right now, Insulin IQ. So definitely a good place to check it out, look at the diet plans, and see if that's someplace you want to actually get more information from.
So Dr. Bickman he's widely perceived to be one of the top metabolic, if not the top metabolic scientist in the world. The guy's absolutely amazing. He's written books, Why We Get Sick. That would be a great book. If anybody's looking to really kind of deep dive into this, there's a plug for Dr. Ben Bickman. I have no affiliation with Dr. Bickman. I tell you what, that book right there will change that'll change your life. Dr. Ben Bickman, it's Bikman,
Yep.
Why We Get Sick. And he also wrote a follow-up cookbook to it, how not to get sick.
Yes.
Couple of great books right there. If you're just looking for some good reading, that's a great place to start. Okay, Dr. Tiff. So the way that this starts is Dr. Tiff and I go through an introduction phase right here, and then we bring out a guest. And these are real people that have been on the products, and we let them tell their testimonial. Just tell their story. And so, Dr. Tiff, I think we decided that we're going to bring Steve out first, right?
Yes. Let's bring him out.
Yeah. Steve. There he is. Okay.
Hello.
So we were having a little bit of some connection issues earlier. We're hoping this goes smooth here, but it seems to be. I think I could hear you talking.
I tried to move, so I hope it comes in better.
Yeah. I think you're in a good place now. Yeah.
I hope so.
So, Steve, I'd like to ask the question, how did we meet? What was your health like when we met? And then where's it at today?
Well, I actually met or started out through your wife, Amanda. And I can't remember if that was on Instagram or TikTok or something. But I had been kind of struggling with my weight and my cholesterol, blood pressure, and my sugar count being too high for probably 10, 12 years anyways. And after a while of keeping on trying to lose weight and it doesn't seem like it works or you can't keep it off, sometimes you start feeling a little bit like you don't know what to do. And you think when you run across like something like that, like this whole Unicity program, and you have the 90-day money-back guarantee after you listen to it enough time, even the skeptic in you says, what have I got to lose? Just like they're saying. And just encourage anybody that fence and they don't know if I think they should. When I started, I was running in the mid 7s with my A1C. I was on blood pressure medicine and cholesterol medicine And my doctor said it was just for like safety sake or something. Finally, about, I don't know, 8 months ago, I just told him I didn't want any blood pressure medicine and I didn't want any cholesterol medicine, and I quit those. My total cholesterol is like 150 now, and my blood pressure has been running in the 120s over 70, which I don't think you need medicine for either. Like I said, my A1C was running 7.5, 7.7. I was on 500 milligram metformin a day, the extended release ones. Plus, they took me from I think it's 10 milligram to a 25 milligram Jardiance. And it just seemed like it stayed in the same place and it wasn't changing. And then when you read about and you hear about all the negative things that are caused by all those medicines and how some of those medicines actually even make your sugar worse, is like, this is a spiral downhill. And I mean, as I sit here today, I'm 59 years old and I didn't want to figure out how to bury myself in 5 years or less. So it's like I had to do something different. And like I said, I'm off blood pressure, I'm off cholesterol. My metformin's at half of what I was, and I'm back to the 10 milligram Jardiance. And I'm really trying to talk hard with my doctor about getting off them completely. I also got the continuous glucose monitor that I'm wearing today, and it's connected with my doctor's office because that was the best way I could think of to justify to them that I don't need that medicine, and I'm trying very hard. As I sit here right now, I just got done with a 45-hour fast again. I do those fairly often. I've done 60 hours, but I try to stick real hard to the 16 hours. I drive truck and I'm gone 3 or 4 nights a week. So there's a lot of times in a truck, it's not very easy to things, but I try really hard, and I'm hoping I can keep knocking a little bit more weight off. I'm probably about 40, 45 pounds down from what I was. Ideally, for the doctors and the whole body mass index, I'm about 5'10", 5'11". They tell me I'm supposed to be like 170 pounds, but I start to believe about some of those, the Jardiance and some of those medicines where it says you lose a lot of muscle also. And I don't know, I feel like, and I mean, I'm 59 also, so as you get older, you lose some of it, but it's a struggle.
I like how he says he drives truck. I think he drives sled.
Yeah. Not quite to the North Pole, but close. Yep.
Oh gosh.
I found out about this, I don't know, it was probably last June or July, and I'm kind of slow, so it took me until last August before I decided to make the jump and get on the Unicity program or whatever. And I've been on it basically a year now. It seemed like right off the gate, I made a little jump, and then it just seemed like I sort of plateaued, even though I tried really hard to stick to the 16 hours, the fast every day. And it just seemed like my numbers weren't going down. And I mean, even now, the last time I went in, my A1C is still at 6.3. So I feel like I still need to keep working on what I eat and when I eat it. And I mean, you get to the point you basically cut out most, if not all, pasta. I mostly don't eat bread. I don't eat potatoes. Kind of a bummer to not eat French fries anymore, but they're not good for me. So hopefully if I keep sticking with it, I'll be able to get it knocked down and get off all that medicine.
Steve, what I like about that, you say I'm still at a 6.3. I think that's a pretty massive improvement. A 1.3 two, I think, swing in the positive direction.
Yep.
And Dr. Tiff is going to kind of talk a little bit about this. I don't want to steal some of her thunder, but you were sick for a very long period of time. Very long period of time. And that doesn't just happen overnight, getting healthy again. And so I guess what I wanted to kind of, and it's the part of your story that I love, is the fact that you've just kind of kept your nose to the grind. You keep that goal out there. I'm going to get the goal. I see it. I see a lot of people around. And Dr. Tiff, I'm as guilty as some. We put the people out there that have these immediate results, you know, and then there's the person like Steve. They're saying, "Hey, why does it not work for me that quickly?" And this is a great opportunity to say, you know what, being consistent with the product, and you'll see results. And you dropped your A1C by 1 point-ish, 2 points. That's a significant number.
And I think two things that I wanted to make sure I got a chance to say is I'm 59 years old. It took me a long time to get like this, and it's nobody else's fault but mine. I'm the one that did it. I ate this way, and I ate myself into this, and I need to eat myself back out of it. And it might not happen in 5 minutes because it didn't take 5 minutes to get this way. But I mean, I can remember growing up as a little kid. You could sit down every day and eat a whole box of cereal. And now I realize that no matter what the government said or whatever the food triangle was or whatever, that wasn't really good for me. And I just think, I mean, there's a lot of days where you want to go have a bowl of ice cream or go eat something you know you shouldn't. And I just feel like you got to just keep trying to remember you're too dumb to quit the program. You're just going to stick with it no matter what. And I think both of the products really help curb my appetite when I really feel like a moment of weakness or whatever. If I just keep sipping on my Unimonte, it does help me to just forget I'm hungry, I guess.
Well, I think what's really good about this, and one is we tend to downplay our successes. We do. The fact that now you're in pre-diabetes land is a step that is definitely worth celebrating. So I'm going to celebrate that. But the other point is everybody's body is different. So yes, these products work, you do them, but sometimes you have to make some tweaks to how you do them. And that's the wonderful part of how we have coaches that we're connected with. So I don't want you to downplay your success at all, Steve. That is still great. But, also connecting with your coach to make this work, particularly for you and your lifestyle and how you do things, is the other way we're successful.
Steve, I guess I started to ask that. I started to put that question up there. Michael asked the question. We'll bring you back at the end for some other questions. But Michael asked the question, how do you feel physically with a long extended fast? How do you feel? I guess just
most of the time, if I keep drinking my coffee and my Unimonte, I mean, I feel really not too bad. I don't know that I ever had really high swings with my blood sugar, and I don't know that I ever had like where I have low blood sugar times. And I just figure doing an extended 40, 45 hours, 48 hours, 60 hours, it's just giving my body a chance to eat the fat off me or whatever, live off that and live off the sugar that's already in me, and hopefully get my insulin resistance down to where it needs to be to help me be healthy again.
I love this. All right, brother. Well, I'm going to go ahead, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and shut your camera down. And I'm going to ask you to come back at the end of the live stream if anybody else has any other questions. And I don't know if you noticed now, you're getting quite a bit of love in the comment section all over the place. So, yeah. Are you okay with my bringing you back towards the end of the live stream for questions?
Sure, that'll be fine. That'll be fine.
Steve, I appreciate you, brother.
Sit here and watch the whole thing. Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you both.
Yes, definitely. Hi, buddy. Why is that not even? That doesn't have us as being even. That's weird. Oh, there we go. I like it like that.
Yeah, I'm starting to think, yeah, he doing that on purpose. That's all right though. I'm good.
They got new buttons for me to play with. Wait. Hold on. It should be that way because age. You got the big
You not slick. Anyway, I love Steve's story, but yeah, so I guess I need to cue up why we're where
what I
we
like
are.
about his story, Dr. Tiff, is and like I said, we're guilty. We always want to celebrate that person who has like immediate. I was talking to a gentleman today, and his blood glucose swung from like 200s down to like high 80s in 20 days.
Wow.
You know, and everybody wants that. But then there are people like Steve, and I think of Tanya and a few other people that they have to work a little bit harder. Oh, Amanda's telling you to elbow me. Yeah, so I like the fact that his story is it's one of resilience, and stick with it. So
entirely.
Ready when you are, Dr. Tiff.
All righty. I was letting you go.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. You guys see it, right?
Yep.
So, to understand what we're doing, we got to understand the problem. So when we think of what's happening here, the big issue is that 93% of Americans are actually struggling with metabolic health. Only 7% actually aren't. Only 7% of us are walking around really healthy. The rest of us are actually dealing with metabolic syndrome is 1 in 3 adults. And then we have people who we put on statins to try to decrease the cardiovascular risk, and that only decreases it by 1%. But if you make some particular lifestyle changes, you can improve your risk for cardiovascular disease by 39%. And so, I thought I was doing all I knew to do, trying to practice medicine and having this desire to help so many people. But unfortunately, I was prescribing a lot of medications. I was following the algorithm, doing all the things, and my patients ended up looking like this lady right here. And I decided I didn't want to look like that. So there has to be something else. And so that's when I ended up getting more training and learning more. And I am determined to believe that we're not bound by our genetics, and neither do we have to be on medications. But if we think of our genes as our land that we're given, how we till that land makes the difference. If we yield it, we'll yield great crops if we're treating it well, and we'll yield crappy crops if we treat it poorly, bottom line. One of the most annoying facts is that heart disease is still the number one killer. Still the number one killer in the US, despite all our advances. So that goes to show that whatever we've been teaching isn't quite enough. And so when we're talking about metabolic health, we're talking about all these issues here. And what's sitting at the center, what's sitting at the root of all this? Insulin resistance, heart disease, diabetes, all these conditions, erectile dysfunction. And I'm going to go into them a little bit more. But at the root, insulin resistance is either linked directly or indirectly to these problems. So what is insulin resistance? And important for us to even understand insulin resistance, it's nice to see what are these symptoms. What symptoms should I look out for? Cravings for sugar and salty, difficulty losing weight, particularly around the middle, constantly hungry, having no skin tags. That's not something you get because you've gotten older, just because Aunt so-and-so had it or Uncle so-and-so had it. That does not mean that you're supposed to just have it. Those are actually signs of overgrowth of skin because of insulin acting like a growth hormone. Same thing with the dark patches on the neck. That's overgrowth of skin, making layers of skin becoming dark patches under your neck, under your arms, under your eyes. Okay. And then the fatigue, especially after meals, that's when that sugar drops because your insulin was so high, it knocked down that sugar so quickly. And then high blood pressure, PCOS, and I'm going to these two. These are all symptoms. But how do we get there? What's causing this? Well, our macronutrients, the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, they're going to break down into ways that we can use energy. Well, carbohydrates break down into a lot of glucose, and that's the energy that we get from that. That breaks down into so much. Your pancreas, which releases insulin to get that glucose into the cell, has to release a lot of insulin to get that glucose into the cell when you eat carbohydrates. Protein doesn't break down into much glucose at all, and healthy fat, none at all. So look at this as an example of a day of when you're eating. You have the breakfast, and say you have your cereal because that's the most important meal of the day, right? You have your cereal, you have your oatmeal, you have your toast. Well, that's going to actually I lost my slide for a minute. But that's going to actually make you have a glycemic spike is what happens. And then with that glycemic spike, your pancreas has to release this insulin, which turns around and you decide you want to have a snack. So then you reach for a carbohydrate snack. And then you turn around and decide you want to have lunch, which could be a sandwich, which can be a wrap. And that also increases the glycemic response, making you release insulin. And then you turn around and you have a snack in the afternoon, and as well as dinner and then dessert. Okay. Now I'm talking without actually looking at my slides. That's how often I do this, people, because I've lost my slides. Okay, good. Ooh, that was scary. Okay. Then you have your insulin. And so insulin here is trying to push the glucose into the liver, muscle, and fat cells, okay? And it does this every time there's glucose sitting there. I mean, insulin has a lot of jobs, but this is a job that it does. It wants to stabilize blood sugars. And so usually when we think about insulin and insulin resistance, we're thinking about diabetes. That's the first thing we think about. And I mean, rightfully so, because so many people are struggling with it. 1 out of 3 adults have pre-diabetes, and then 9 out of 10 have don't even know they have it. And then you have type 2 diabetes, where that's 1 out of every 10 people, and 1 out of 4 don't even know they have it. But what happens to the people that have normal A1Cs but have all those symptoms on this slide? What happens to those people? They have normal A1Cs, but they're having the cravings. They're having the difficulty losing weight. What's happening to them? Well, I like to say they're in the land of frustration is what I like to call it. This is a time when you're frustrated, you're going to a doctor and, you tell them you have all these symptoms, telling him or her, and they check your labs and they're like, everything's good. No, everything's not good. I feel horrible. And that's because insulin resistance can take 10 to 20 years before you actually see some lab data changes. So during this time, you might see things like high blood pressure. And so when insulin is high, it makes your kidneys hold on to sodium, and then water follows sodium. So that way that increases the blood volume, that increases the pressure. And then it also impairs nitric oxide function. So nitric oxide is supposed to dilate the blood vessels. And so now you have stiff blood vessels and increased blood volume. Yeah, that's increased blood pressure. Okay, what else happens when your insulin's high? Now it messes with your liver. And it makes your liver make more triglycerides. It makes your liver make more of the bad cholesterol, the LDL, small particles that get into the cracks of the blood vessels to cause things like heart attacks and strokes. Okay. And then what else? It causes the ovaries to make cysts, promotes weight gain in women, causes trouble with hair, either hair loss or hair growth in places that is not supposed to be. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is the leading cause of anovulatory infertility amongst women, meaning they aren't dropping eggs like they're supposed to. And what's so awesome is that when we use these tools that we're going to talk about, but also having people reverse this insulin resistance, we're seeing them be able to have children when they were told they would not be able to do so. And when insulin is high, it messes with erectile dysfunction. Part of that has to do with the nitric oxide issue, because that's actually how those medications work. They help to improve nitric oxide, so you get dilation of those blood vessels. But you also get low testosterone because some of that testosterone is being converted. You get your man boobs, the lower testosterone, low libido, menopause. Now, how I've theorized. Now, let me tell you this. I don't have any books on this, but this is how I've theorized how insulin resistance can actually be linked to autoimmune conditions. Well, one of the problems with insulin resistance is that those fat cells, as they've gotten larger because of the insulin resistance, insulin being too high and storing fat, because that's why you get the fat around the middle, it leaks out inflammatory products. It leaks out tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin 6. These are inflammatory things, and it causes a low-level chronic inflammation. Well, that chronic inflammation then goes to cause havoc. It can cause gut dysbiosis, which is messing up the normal flora, the normal amount of what's supposed to be in your gut microbiome. That's your all the bacteria in your gut. There's trillions of them there. Well, when you start messing with how that's supposed to be, you end up getting yeast there. You end up getting organisms there that aren't supposed to be there. Foods can do this too, though. Antibiotics and all types of medications can do this. Seed oils can do this type of thing. And then you also get impaired T cell function. And T cells are part of your immune system that tells your body what not to attack. Okay, so that's a problem. That's problematic if you start messing with that, right? And if you don't feed your bacteria the right thing with all this inflammation, the bacteria start to eat some of the lining themselves, and that makes the gut permeable, and that becomes leaky gut. And so now the things you eat, the toxins, the foods, the stool, the bacteria, all that stuff that's going through your intestines can now leak out into your abdominal cavity. And so if you have impaired T cell function, your poor body doesn't know what to attack. And so that's when you can start attacking things like your bones, your gut, your brain, getting conditions like MS and rheumatoid arthritis and ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, all those things, which would kind of make sense why when you treat your gut the right things, that we're seeing people improve those things, which is huge, 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 huge. So this is what I like to talk about. The 5 things you can do immediately. I like to empower people to feel as if they are not at the will of these conditions or at the will of these medications. So one of the things would be to try to do lower carb. And so I don't like to villainize any foods, right? But I want you to focus on doing more low glycemic index carbohydrates. And there's a whole website for that. And then no processed foods, doing resistance training, having higher fiber, and time-based eating or intermittent fasting. And the whole stop the processed foods, that's almost like a no-brainer. I mean, we know that food is fake. It's big food. It's not even real food. These foods, packaged, boxed, barcoded, that's your snacks, that's your chips, your cookies, your cakes. Anything that doesn't really look like it came off a tree or out of the earth, is probably processed, y'all. And that does not affect our body the same way as whole foods. Whole foods are our friends. Processed foods are not. And because those foods have all this sugar in there, it's become addictive for many of us. And that was the goal. I mean, a lot of those companies on that previous slide, I mean, they were behind big tobacco. They know how to make stuff addictive. Now, sugar is one of the carbohydrates is one of the macronutrients that actually is related to dopamine boost. So when that sugar gets high, it actually triggers your dopamine and it feels great. That's why so many times some of our comfort foods are sugar foods or carbohydrate foods. It triggers a dopamine response like some addictive behaviors do. And then we feel like we can't say no. And that's because we're missing the fiber, especially with that processed and ultra processed foods. We're missing the fiber in them that I believe our creator intended for us to have there so we wouldn't have those spikes. And so now we have rice that's white and fluffy when it really was wild and crunchy. And so this definitely gets processed by our body differently and breaks down into glucose quicker. We need the fiber because it blocks the inflammation. Those different colors, the phytonutrients, the polyphenols, they actually decrease inflammation. And then they allow our sugar not to spike up so high. It balances it out. It dampens the effect of the sugar and of the cholesterol. So that way it doesn't affect our body the same. So it allows our cells to become more insulin sensitive, which is what we need when we're dealing with insulin resistance. And then fasting. Yep, fasting is a real thing. I mean, a real detox that happens. I was talking to someone today that was like, well, what kind of detox would you recommend? Fasting. That's what I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend you taking any other product to make you detox. We already have this healing power here. It's just about tapping into it and fasting to the point where we get to autophagy. If you fast, they think 17 hours to 72 hours, that's a period of autophagy. And we have a Nobel laureate who got this, Dr. Osumi, in 2016. This is a real thing. Toxins get removed from the cells, infections, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, all those things get removed. Mitochondria end up getting more powerful. It increases energy to the mitochondria and protects the nervous system. You get immune system benefits. You get neuron regeneration. You get gut regeneration depending on the hours of how long you fast. Huge benefits. So most of the time, because so many people are on these types of medications, they immediately think about GLP-1s. But I'm here to tell you that we have a GLP-1. It's made by our gut, the small intestines. And can GLP-1 help? Oh, absolutely. It slows down the gastric emptying, but it also tells our brain we're not really hungry. And so, yes, those shots, they bind to a receptor to pretend like they're our GLP-1. And so many people are on them, like 1 out of 8 people are on those shots. But unfortunately, like any pharmaceutical, there is baggage. There are side effects. The weight loss that comes from those injections, you are actually at risk of losing 40% of lean mass, and that's your bone and your muscle. So that's huge. And there's other serious complications. And these aren't, things you want to just ignore. And so it's really important to be educated and informed with whatever you choose to do. And then when you've been using these injectables, after about a couple years, the food noise, the carb cravings that it turns off, it stops working as well. Okay. And you need higher dosages or you need a new medication. And I saw this in practice. And then, of course, because of that whole loss of muscle mass, it makes it hard to regain the muscle mass when you stop those injectables. And so the weight you end up gaining back is usually fat. That's why you have so many people say, I've gained more weight than I lost. So, of course, a woman who is so tired of writing prescription is looking for an answer to where you can do this naturally. Yes, I am. And the chlorogenic acid that's in the yerba mate extract that we're going to talk about, it actually reduces glucose absorption, improves glucose uptake into the muscles and the fat cells, and improves inflammation and oxidative stress, which is huge because that's the stuff that puts us at risk for heart disease. Activates AMP pathways, so they helps with the energy. There's so many things. Then you have the ferulic acid that makes the GLP-1 part of this even more. It helps break down in the gut. You actually get more GLP-1 production, which is wonderful. And then you have the fiber part of this, because I told you about the microbiome. I told you about the gut. We have trillions of bacteria here that have been trained because of our lifestyle, the food, the medications, and it's been trained poorly. And so trying to get our gut to work appropriately, having the right fiber does all that with all the right colors. And so I'm a firm believer that our insulin resistance is not genetic. It was not in my DNA. It was in my dinner. And so knowing that and sharing this with everybody I talk to, I feel like a doctor superhero every day. And I want to empower everybody I talk to feel the same way. And so you can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and you can find me here next week too.
I like it like this. Hey, I love that, by the way. I love every time I listen, I learn. Hey, I've been kind of beating a drum a little bit lately, and I feel like you might help me emphasize a point here. And so you're on the spot. I love putting you on the spot. I know when I do this to her, she's like, oh, what's coming? Guy, I've been really emphasizing. I asked this trick question during my live streams. Are you on a GLP-1? Which one are you on? And they all say Ozempic or Mounjaro, whatever it is. And then I'm quick to say, oh, I'm sorry, those aren't GLP-1. That's GLP-1 RA. GLP-1 is a hormone that your body produces. And I think the difference is GLP-1, there's no side effects to your hormone. There are a lot of side effects to GLP-1 RA. And I feel like when the pharmaceutical industry has to start blurring the lines a little bit and calling their stuff something else, because that's what we're doing. We're calling their stuff the hormone, the GLP-1, right? And then they're able to kind of blur the lines. So, am I onto something there, Dr. Tiff?
Yeah, you might be, because that way, if you call that stuff the real hormone, that way you have no reason to believe that you can actually do this yourself. It takes the power away. That's the whole point of pharmaceuticals anyway.
Yeah.
My whole soapbox.
Yeah, we make GLP-1. If you're taking Mounjaro, you're not on a GLP-1. You're on a GLP-1 RA, receptor agonist. Anyway, okay, that's been I've been beating that drum kind of hard lately, Dr. Tiff. So, I think it's time to bring BJ out. What do you think?
Yes, it is. And I love this. Now, for all my ladies watching this live, if y'all notice, I'm a little outnumbered today. But I'm actually okay with it, though, because I do believe that our men need to be healthy. And as a physician, this was one of the problems, is getting y'all to actually admit you need to be healthy. And so I'm so excited that we get to hear from so many men who've been making these awesome changes in their life. I mean, I've gotten to know BJ. He is such a great guy and has a heart for people. But he was somebody who, was fit and was doing all the things. And I'm not going to get too in his story, but I love his story because I have too many of these. They think they don't need anything. They think they're okay. But I'm here to tell you, y'all need to listen to him because some of y'all not okay. That's what this is about today.
I'm also going to just point out the celebrity cast that we've had today. We had Kris Kringle and now Usher. Is anybody else see Usher?
I can't with him. I can't with him.
Oh, it's either Tommy Davidson or Usher.
Oh, I see Tommy. For real. Okay.
All right. So thank you all. And I'm older than Usher. So, but anyway, so yeah, as you stated, I was into health for the longest. I was in the military. I was a fitness leader while I was in there at times. Even did bench press competitions. Did an amateur bodybuilder competition. Was a personal trainer at the time. Did all of that while I was in and out just for fun, and thought I was in good health. And my friends, Beverly and Johnny, will host salad jar parties at their house once a month. So, been going to their house for 5 years. But last spring of 2024, I noticed Johnny had lost a little weight. This was in March. I didn't think much of it. I'm thinking, he's probably just stressed out from work, long hours, everything that he's doing. Never asked, didn't care, just left it alone. April, go back, I noticed he lost more weight. I'm like, wow, something's going on. Maybe they're having marital problems. Maybe he's sick. And, some people, they get sick, don't want to tell nobody. I didn't know, I didn't ask. And then May of last year, he finally, when we were over there, he said, look, this is what I was doing. He said, I didn't change anything, kept eating the same foods. He didn't exercise. And I'm listening to him, but I'm looking at the evidence of what he's talking about. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it, but I believed it because it was right in front of my eyes. And being health conscious that I am, I said, I'll try. But part of it, when he told me about the time-based eating, I was thinking, I'm already eating 3 to 5 times a day, and I want to keep my metabolism up. At least that's what I thought I was doing. So when he talked about cutting back on eating, I'm like, I don't want to lose muscle size. I don't want to lose my muscle strength. I might even pass out if I go more than 2 hours without eating. That's what was going on in my mind at the time. But needless to say, the first couple of weeks was rough because mentally that was a challenge of thinking that I had to eat. But once I started just doing it consistently after a couple of months, that's when I started noticing some improvement. Now, see, at the time, I had high cholesterol and I was also pre-diabetic. Now, when I initially was diagnosed with high cholesterol, I was thinking to myself, you got my lab work mixed up with somebody else. It can't be me. I drink half my body weight in water every day. I'm working out 2 to 3 times a week. I'm snacking. I'm eating all these heart-friendly, may lower your cholesterol, oatmeal and cereal for breakfast every morning. I got all these snacks at work, like my granola bars and fruit cups and raisins and all this stuff I'm snacking on at work. Did not know what I was doing was literally nurturing my insulin resistant at the time. So here it is, high cholesterol. A year later, my physical, now I'm pre-diabetic and have high cholesterol. And the high cholesterol really didn't bother me that much. And it sounds bad to say like that because I didn't know of anybody having any complications from high cholesterol. But the pre-diabetes, when I got that diagnosis, now that took me back to my childhood where one of my family members, I remember having her leg amputated below her knee due to sugar. Now in the South, we call diabetes sugar. And as a kid, I remember saying that I don't want to have sugar take anything off my body part when I get older. So here I am working out and thinking I'm doing all the right things. And then it would take me about a good 3 months before I got my blood work done. And that's when I noticed that my A1C did drop some and my cholesterol. And I was surprised, and considering I didn't even start off at full strength. Again, I struggled with the fasting, not because I physically couldn't do it. It was more of a mental barrier. Plus, I was already thinking at the same time, as long as I can run a mile and a half in 9 minutes, as long as I can go up a 2, 3 flights of stairs without getting winded, you know, I'm in good health. But those were all my baselines that kept me thinking I was in good health. But when I go see the doctor, she never asked me what was my baseline for health. She will only ask me right arm or left arm so she can get blood out of me. And that's all she cared about. So here I am now, finally being more consistent. And then I'm getting my blood work done. I'm going out of pocket because I'm curious. I want to see these results for myself. And as the months are going on, and I'm not really paying attention to myself physically until I start talking with other people, and they're saying, "Yeah, I'm experiencing this and experiencing that," and I'm like, you know what? I'm not yawning. I'm not tired at work as like I used to be. Because initially, before I started this protocol, I'm at work, I'm typing, eyes half open, half closed. I'm just dragging like that first hour, 2 hours. I'm snacking on stuff. But again, Did not know that my insulin was just looking like a roller coaster the first 3 or 4 hours because I was constantly snacking. Now, after a few months, I'm not snacking like I used to. My snacks are just sitting in a drawer now. I'm not even touching them. I noticed that also my pants were starting to feel a little looser around the waist. Now here, I'm 5'9" at 165 last year, so I'm not obese. Uh, I always gauge having my six pack as another marker for having good health, but my six pack was starting to fade over the years also. Did not know that inability to lose weight was another symptom of insulin resistance. But now here I am now. My waistline is actually a little smaller. My pants are fitting a little looser. I'm having to go an extra hole, maybe 2 holes now to the right with my belt. And I'm like, oh, I guess I lost inches because I hear so many people losing weight, but I didn't want to lose weight for one, but I did lose inches where I wanted to be. So I got my six pack back. So now that could be part of my baseline again. but but I was happy to see that. And then my A1C went down to a 5.6, and then my high cholesterol normalized. So here I am thinking like, wow, now in hindsight with the education that I've gotten since I've been on this protocol, it's almost embarrassing because like, especially as a bodybuilder, when I did that for my little short 1 year, I did not realize that a lot of times, especially athletes, or in this case, weightlifters and bodybuilders, they want to bulk up, get big and strong, but nobody pays attention to their insulin levels, their A1Cs, their cholesterols. That's, we focus on the physical, but we don't focus on the internal. So in hindsight, I realized like, wow, now when I look at my timeline on social media, I see all these guys, benching and curling and everything, and they're proud of their achievements, which I completely understand. But it's like, but if you're not checking your insides, 10, 15 years from now, you may be doing a one-hand bench press because the other one's been amputated. And I don't mean to sound so pessimistic, but that's the reality of it, because I've learned now that insulin resistance is kind of like an alligator, and you're just walking along the bank, and at some point, it's going to snatch you in if you don't recognize it. It's sitting right there, ready to grab you. So I've been on this journey now for just a little bit over a year, and some of the things I love about it now is I call food freedom, because now I understand that I kept my body in fat storing mode all this time, and I had the ability to put it in fat burning mode. So now I was like, well, now that I know that, I have at it. So now I got my body in fat burning mode every day. I've intentionally put on 5 pounds of muscle. So now I'm at 170, still got my six pack back. And by the way, I'm 51 and a half years old. So I don't have the traditional dad bod. Don't subscribe to it. Don't want it. But I see all that to say is that you have to take action and ownership for your health, because at the end of the day, I realize it's not my doctor's responsibility. It's not my primary care physician responsibility. It's on me. I am my greatest advocate for my health. And when I saw my friends made the switch in their own lives, I decided to make a switch of my own, and I'm not looking back. Love it.
You're getting all sorts of love on that alligator analogy. People like that.
Yes, yes.
That is a good analogy. It's there. It's sitting. It's watching you. Are you watching?
Yes.
I love that. Patty says, terrific testimony. Thank you. Strauss over on TikTok said, you were talking about being tired. He says, I used to be dead tired from 1 to 5, not anymore. Same thing, BJ. What I'd like to do is I'm going to shut down your camera here for just a few minutes while I try and blaze through what the products are, how to use them, and then bring you back out for any questions. Is that cool?
Yes. Great
cool with
story,
me.
BJ. Loved it.
Thank you.
All right. Let me jump in really quick here, and I'm going to be quick. Get your notebooks out. Oh, drop that one.
Yeah, get ready.
Okay. Yeah. So the Fuel Grade system is 2 products. It is Unicity Unimate and Unicity Balance. And of course, I just dropped one of the packets, but let me talk about Unimate first, our tea. So this is a yerba mate extract, and yerba mate is really kind of taking the scene right now. Everybody's talking about yerba mate. In fact, it's actually been pretty heavily industrialized for the last 120 years or so in North America. It's really been consumed for about 500 to 1,000 years in South America. There's a leaf that's grown there, the yerba leaf, and that really is the only place that is grown. The areas of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and parts of Uruguay, that really is the only place that that leaf is grown. Now, the indigenous people would say that it gave them an amazing boost of energy. It suppressed their appetite. They referred to it as a drink of the gods. It's still the national drink of Argentina to this day. What we know about that is there's something inside of yerba mate called chlorogenic acid. Now, chlorogenic acid, it really occurs in most vegetation. It's really pretty abundant, but it's very abundant in yerba mate. Now, chlorogenic acid has been shown to reduce blood pressure. It's an anti-inflammatory. It aids in weight loss. It's an appetite suppressant. It helps with lipids control, so your cholesterol, your glucose control. It's a novel insulin sensitizer. Well, what we do, we actually, Unicity actually has, they own the farms in that region of the world, and they're still paying very skilled farmers to hand harvest that leaf. It's really particular when they harvest the leaf. They still fire roast it in a very traditional way, to the way that it's always been done, but then they stop that traditional process and they extract the good things that we want, like chlorogenic acid, and then they concentrate it, and then they purify it. They get rid of the things that we don't want, like heavy metals and pesticides. And what we end up with is a tea that has about 20 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of yerba mate and about 10 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of coffee. In fact, I'm unaware of any other single source on the planet that is higher than this in chlorogenic acid. Now, that is the tea. So what do we do first thing in the morning for me? It's the first thing that I do is I go and I get my Yeti tumbler and I fill this up with hot water and one of those teas. And I sip on this. It'll last me 2 to 3 hours to drink that tea. When it's gone, I just immediately transition into the second one. They're going to send you a bottle. Dr. Tiff, do you have your bottle?
You know I do.
They're going to send you a bottle just like that. It's got a line on the back side of it that says Unimate. You can add water to that line. That's 500 milliliters. And shake it up, and you can drink it cold out of that, or you can do about 30 ounces, which is about 2 of those bottles, and drink it hot, cold. It doesn't matter. The trick is to sip on it. And what you're going to find is an amazing appetite suppression. But really the biggest piece of this with the tea, the easiest piece to believe is, you know, what BJ was talking about, just feeling sluggish. How many people in this audience right now, how many people that are listening right now, we got quite a few between all the different platforms, how many of you really kind of just struggle waking up in the morning, just getting yourself going? Like it's a cold start, you know, I don't want to get out of bed, sluggish, brain fog. What this tea is really going to do is it's just going to kind of wipe that out. You're going to get a long, sustained, steady energy boost, and then mental clarity is amazing. In fact, I have a hard time doing a live stream this late at night without having a tea. I love having my tea. It's 7 o'clock here in Denver, Colorado, and I'm drinking a tea. So the caffeine reacts. I would never drink coffee this late in the day. Never. Now, the second product that we have is called Balance, and Balance was developed by Rexall Pharmacy in the late 80s. It was put to market in the early 90s. And really what it was a patented blend of 7 different plant-based fibers and a multivitamin. And a multivitamin is what really kind of made it special. Now, that blend has 4 patents on it. It's got more than a dozen clinical validation studies on it by places like the Cleveland Clinic, the University of Sydney, Australia, UNLV, UCLA, all sorts of different, Stanford. Anyway, the Cleveland Clinic studied this in 2002. They actually studied it in 2001. They published it in September of 2002. And in that study, that was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. It was peer-reviewed. It was published. It's been cited at least 20 times. That study, the Cleveland Clinic concluded such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. It's that last piece, could potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. Now, of course, they said potentially. If they said did or will, and it didn't, they would get sued. So they're always going to use verbiage like potentially. But very powerful statement from the Cleveland Clinic. That's the top heart hospital in the United States, saying that this could potentially decrease the need and or dose for statins.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big statement from such a prestigious place. Now, in addition to that, the University of Sydney, Australia has studied it as well, and they found a 20 to 28% reduction in blood glucose, a 13 to 27% reduction in blood insulin, which, as Dr. Tiffany pointed out earlier, that's the number we really need to be looking at, 13 to 27% reduction in blood insulin. In addition to that, they did a second study on it where they tested it against white bread, which is a 100 on the glycemic index, and they found that it lowered, that was white bread, white rice, and mashed potatoes, and they found in each case, it lowered the glycemic index from high to medium in each case. It also lowered the insulin index, effectively reducing the amount of insulin that was secreted, which is, again, exactly what we're trying to accomplish. So I will add to that, the Unimate, Dr. Tiffany Marie's mentor, Dr. Ben Bickman, published some research on this a couple of years ago in October of 2023. And in that research, he basically found that it increases our mitochondrial efficiency. I'm going to leave that for a different topic down the road. I don't think 4 minutes is enough time to cover that. But in a nutshell, it made us a more efficient fat burner. Who doesn't want to be one of those? So, and it also increases GLP-1 by up to 70% during a fasted state. And you'll notice I said GLP-1, the real stuff, the hormone. It increases the real stuff, the hormone, by up to 70% during a fasted state. So how does this work? You buy a kit. The kit has all three of these products in it. It's 2 teas per day. I just go back to back. Right in front of your heaviest carbohydrate meal of the day, you drink the balance. You mix it up in cold water in that same bottle that Dr. Tiffany had right there. Chug it. Enjoy your meal. Piece of cake. Costs about $5.30 a day, which is less than you're going to spend on breakfast. You can't get through Starbucks for $5.30. If you calculate that out over a month, it's $159. They do accept HSA, FSA, credit cards. They offer a 90-day money-back guarantee, and I wanted to show that really quick here. I've never really shown this before, but here is the 90-day money-back guarantee. It's a happiness guarantee. If for any reason within 90 days after your purchase you are dissatisfied with your Feel Great products, Unicity will, upon your written request, issue a full purchase price refund. If you don't like it, ask for a refund. They'll give you back all your money back, all of it. So you got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Go into this with a 90-day mindset. Try it. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, give this a shot. Okay, Dr. Tiff, did I miss anything?
Nope. Think you covered it all.
Oh, I did miss something. Get with the person who invited you here. Whoever invited you here, get with them. They will tell you how to order the products, okay? They have a referral link. That's how Unicity operates, is with referral links. So get with the person who invited you here. They will tell you how to order the products. And this is the fun part. Who has any questions for us at all? If you guys have any questions, throw them up there. Oh, Strauss says PayPal too. They accept PayPal as well. Yep. Michael Martin, 13 months on the products, down 128 pounds.
Woo-hoo!
25 pills per day to a Zyrtec only. 34 years of blood pressure pills to 0. Reverse type 2 diabetes. It works.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to ask kind of the wrap-up questions. And I'll start with Steve as I'm looking at you, brother. There's a lot of skeptics out there. A lot of people have been burned with snake oils and that sort of thing. A lot of people are watching this live stream and thinking, yeah, right, sure. That little tea, that little balance. You've got 30 seconds to talk to that person. What are you saying to them?
Well, I didn't believe it. It a chance and try it. Like you say, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, this will change the chance. And one thing I wanted to say earlier is, I got 7 pages of labs for my last doctor's appointment, but my doctor fought me to give me a fasting insulin test. And I ended up having to tell him I'd pay for it out of my own pocket. I just wanted one done. And I don't understand why that's such a big fight, because your fasting insulin level is such a big try. It does work. You just got to stay the course. And 50 days and you don't like it, they'll give you your money.
I love that.
To lose.
Brother Steve is kind of cutting in and out, but I feel like I got the gist of what he was saying. Do you guys? I feel like I got that one. I got the gist of it. What about you, BJ? What would you say to that person? No,
I would say that the body will heal itself naturally when you give it the right tools, preferably natural tools, and allow your body to do what it was created to do. So this is what I love about it, because I was not doing the right things. If anything, I was dirtying my body on the inside out. But now that I'm giving it natural tools and put my body in a natural state that it was created to go in, which is the fat burner state, it's corrected a lot of deficiencies that I was and wasn't even aware of. So it's great.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Every week I love the testimonials, Dr. Tiff, and we did get a question here. Oops, that was not the question. This was the question.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Tiff, I don't know if you're able to answer that or not. I would leave that for you rather than for me.
Yeah, there aren't any known interaction with using the product. So it's about whether or not medications need to be taken with food or not. So, if it needs to be taken with food, what we find using the balance a lot of times is okay. But that would be something that depends on if it needs to be on a full stomach. That's the only time when you have to change when you take the products, when you consume them.
All right. Well, gentlemen, Steve, BJ, thank you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. I'm going to shut you guys' camera off and give Dr. Tiff and I the last word. And yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You guys are rock stars. I appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Dr. Tiff, another live stream down.
Yes.
It's been over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Well over a year. That's crazy. For more than a year, I've been putting up with you.
I know, really. For more than a year.
More than a year, I've been putting up with you.
Yeah, vice versa. Yeah.
Hey, what are you gonna say? And I know I've asked you this for a year now straight, but what are you gonna say to that person who's sitting on the sidelines saying this is bogus?
You know what? Somebody the other day said, I'm tired of listening to people because there's so many hope dealers out there. And so I heard that, and part of me was going to take offense. And then the rest of me said, no, that's right. I am exactly that. I am a hope dealer for real. I am literally here trying to help those people thinking that medications are the only answer, trying to think that because auntie such and such lost her leg or grandma lost her leg, that is your fate. I am here to deal hope 100%, because we have a product that is really helping people. And I have people trying to do lifestyle changes and need help. And I have people doing nothing. So yeah, I'm the hope dealer, and that's what we're spreading. We're spreading hope.
God, I love that. Well, and I say that anybody who knows me really close knows that that's my biggest thing is I feel like when we get sick, we fall into this place of helpless and hopeless. We feel like it's a tail slide, right? And if you are genuinely, if you're feeling helpless, if you are feeling hopeless, there is hope. Dr. Bickman, he said a while back on one of his videos, no matter how far gone you think you are, you can always reverse type 2, or you can always reverse insulin resistance. And if insulin resistance is the root cause for all those things, no matter how far gone you are, there's hope, guys. There's hope. You might have to work really hard like Steve has. Maybe you get lucky and don't have to work as hard like I did. But if you work hard, if you're consistent, try these products, give them 90 days. If you're not satisfied, you get your money back. If you feel helpless, if you feel hopeless, you don't have to. If you are broken, you don't have to stay broken.
Exactly.
Okay. And I should give credit. I can't think of her name right now. Who is the singer that said that? Selena Gomez.
Oh, okay.
Selena Gomez. If you are broken, you do not have to stay broken. Okay. You guys have a wonderful day. Dr. Tiff, you're amazing.
Yes.
We'll see you next week.
You're awesome, Jim. Good night, guys.
Hey, guys.